black and white. These are absences of colour. We don't actually see them often in nature, and when we do, they're not exactly white. There's more of cream, and they're not black either. It's more of brown. So how do we use this in art? Well, my way of doing this, modelled by the lovely Darth Vader here, is to use a dark blue or variants of dark blue. I start with a really bright base because that lets me see through it to any parts I've missed. And essentially, I just use blue. I don't use black. I use what looks black on the screen, but what isn't actually black. The problem with using actual black or actual white is it tends to wash out your image. So you need to preserve the details and to give yourself some room for shading. You need to make sure your colour is dark, but not that dark. You can see here, it's the bottom area of this colour square. Apologies, my voice is a bit scratchy, but there we go. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I saw Sarah Renee Clark's video a while back, which I will link in the description below. And it's not something you really think about. When you're drawing, you don't think about, oh, well, this is a black colour. This needs to be black. Especially when you're using stuff like markers. Like, obviously, this is digital. But when you're using markers as well, it's easier to use a blue or something like a grey rather than full on black because you lose that detail when you're doing it with pure black. If you look at Scar from The Lion King, you know his mane is black, but the lines, the highlights, they're blue. And if you look at other animation, other films, even Vader, he's all plastic and sort of mesh, which is all black, or at least it reads as black to us, but it's not, it's grey, it's a dark grey. Look at anything around you. Everything that's black is plastic, it's man-made, it's not real, it's not, what's the word? I forgot the word. But anyway, it's not real, it's man-made, it's synthetic, that's the word. And the same with anything in white. Pure white in nature is usually very sparse. It's bellies of birds, maybe, to hide them from the sky when prey can't see them. Polar bears don't actually have any colour in their fur, so every little thing shows through and they read as more cream. You can see even in this image, you know that none of it's black. I mean, none of it at all is black. But the gloves, the shoulder armor, and the helmet, and the boots, obviously, those are the only bits where I went very, very close to black, very dark. I did do 2 versions of this, and I'll show you them side by side at the end. But my point is that when you want to do something that's black or white, your best bet is to use the shading and the lighting to actually help you. Because otherwise you're going to lose the details. It's going to look flat. It's not going to look realistic. Not that Vader is realistic, but you know what I mean. You want things to look right. You don't want them to look like they're fake up against the background. Because if you do just do something pure black against the background, it's going to stand out. Even if you put some highlights on it, even if you put some shading. That's another thing. How do you shade pure black? How do you shade pure white? How do you highlight pure white? I don't think you can, really. I think that it's very hard to actually shade these colours, highlight these colours, and yeah, my honest opinion is you need to use blue as both base for black and a base for white. Because that's exactly how you would do it with pencils or markers. You wouldn't just draw a polar bear on a piece of white paper and leave it white and not colour it in. So yeah, I mean, obviously with some stuff, look from a distance, you can tell that that's not black. So that's why I go in and I start darkening things. I start adding a bit of highlighting, adding a bit of shading. I start darkening the bits that need it. Like, thankfully, the lightsaber covers a lot of things, especially in the highlight area, so that's fine. But play around with your colours and make sure there's some depth in the actual artwork. Because if there's not, then that's going to fall flat. That's going to look unrealistic. If you're doing realism, this advice really does hit. But if you're doing cartoons, then again, you don't want your character to be a black void. It's a little bit more forgiving even in cartoons, to use pure black, pure white. So this advice would fall more on the realism scale or on the fan art scale. Here we go. This is the black version. You can see it just looks flat, out of place. No, I'm sorry, this is the blue version. I'm looking at the wrong one. There we go. This is the blue version. The background is a screenshot, I'll be honest with you. And then this is the black version. There's no eyes. There's no buttons or anything really. And you can tell it looks a bit more fake, as it were. The only real detail is where I've put the highlights, which is not ideal. So that's my opinion. That's my advice to you guys, is to try and use blue or other darker colours. Dark red's a good one, to actually elevate your artwork and give some depth to your characters, to your drawings. Obviously, if you are going to put them in the background, don't do what I did and put them on a screenshot. It doesn't always work. So I hope that helped you guys, and I'll see you in the next